this whole idea of cold calling and cold texting and cold emailing continue to be pressed down because the consumer, and all of which we are all, none of us would say, yes, I want more cold email and more cold text and more cold call. No one says that. They say, I want less. I hate these things, blah, blah, blah. Right. And so the technology providers on the other side are responding. So there have been these huge new regulations on the texting side where now you can't like, you have to register your business entity or yourself as an individual, something that's very identifiable, like an EIN or an SSN. And the whole reason is so that if you get a lot of people saying stop or leave me alone or marking your messages as spam, you no longer will have the ability to text. You can move providers, you can switch numbers, but they got you now. And if you don't register, they're just going to wholesale not deliver your text. And so this is a big, big, big thing because now you have to think, okay, I got to send text that people want.
What is up? Welcome back to the CA Power Player Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins, and today our special guest is none other than the co-founder and CEO of an amazing software technology company to help the insurance industry from GoHighLevel. Please welcome Shaun Clark.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Absolutely, buddy. Excited to have you here, man. Like what you guys are doing and the journey and trajectory this company has been on, it's hard to ignore. It's super impressive. I'm learning a ton by watching you guys all the times. But I'm curious, like, have you always been like a techie dude? Like, is this kind of always what you've done in different capacities?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've always been a software engineer my whole life. I've always loved working with small businesses and always wanted to create solutions that kind of help them. And I would say that it's been it's been crazy to kind of get into this world and see how much we can help people with some very simple technology.
Yeah. But when you look back on like Shaun as a kid, teenager, young adult, etc. Even though we still like to think we're young adults, I guess. What was he like? Was there any examples of like you knew you would be a software engineer later in life because of the things you were doing?
Oh no, I was always a software nerd from the very get-go. So I was lucky, I think, that I sort of came up in a time when software technology was really taking off and really changing things. And I very early on saw the power of software to change the world. And I kind of fell in love with that idea. I was so terribly bad with physical things. So I like the fact that, you mess something with software, you just kind of reboot versus you mess something up physically and, you got to start way over. So that very much appealed to me. I've always been kind of a software nerd and I really love what software can do.
Yeah. And then walk me through your career pre GoHighLevel, if you will.
Yeah, sure. So, it was interesting. I was working on this really cool, it was actually a marketing agency at the time in college. And they were very much into software. And this was kind of the go-go times. And then there was the .com bust, which you have to be old enough, like you have to be, a certain age to have lived that. But basically I got laid off from my cool, hot software gig and ended up trying to find a job for a summer. And oddly enough, linked up with a guy who at the time was starting an answering service, which is not a very cool concept on its face. But what it turned into was this was right as Google ads were coming out. And he had, and at the time, the answering service world was this sort of city to city, kind of town to town industry. And there wasn't a national player. And so what we kind of did is we came together and with sort of my background in web tech and digital advertising and building websites and that kind of thing, plus Google ads coming online and his ability to, at the time, move telephone calls across state lines very easily, we really nationalized an industry. So, fast forward 12 years and you're talking, a 600 person company answering, inbound calls for 5,000 small businesses. And really, we wrote all our own software at the time. We put agents in their homes for the first time that we'd ever really heard of it at scale. So there's a lot of really cool tech stuff going on. And I really got to see the power of, I'm a small business owner. I'm out busy doing my thing. And someone's calling me to say, hey, I want to buy your stuff, which was really the predominant channel at the time. And the power of just picking it up and saying, no problem, we can help you. Even though we weren't really that business, we were able to generate a lot of sales for people. So just kind of seeing all of those aspects come together and really falling in love with that. That was kind of my pre-high level career.
Yeah. Were you someone that like, you can see, you strike me as someone that's like super creative and you can like see ways to make things better. Is that a fair assumption?
I think I'm a really good observer of what other people are doing and, sort of seeing what maybe is currently working and thinking, yeah, like what if we, what is the missing component here? And honestly, I get a lot of that from just asking people like, hey, what do you wish this could do? Or what do what do you struggle with? This kind of thing. And just trying to tease out where the real issues lie. Because a lot of times people will say, well, if only this or only that. But when you really look behind the scenes, they have a really good gauge on the problem, but not a really good gauge on the solution. And so if you could kind of look at the real problem and maybe a different solution, and good example of that is, in a perfect world, going back to the answering service days, people would say, well, I wish I could, I just need to hire more people to man my front desk and this and that. And at some point you're like, yeah, but you need to be 24/7, 365, right? 2 a.m. on a Christmas morning, you're picking up the phone. You're never going to do that hiring all on your own. It's better to hire somebody like at the time of us, because even though we don't know your business the way you do, the reality is the person calling in doesn't know that. And it's not even that important. They just want to know that they found the right spot and you can help them get to that next destination. And so that's why, that outsourced concept was a better solution for them. And so really it's about seeing those sorts of things in software.
Yeah, which makes a ton of sense. Also, before I keep jumping in for some different questions, I'm going to let our audience know that there is a link in the description, GoHighLevel.com/CA, to actually do an extended 30-day free trial and learn more about GoHighLevel. So you can click the link and check that out. I would highly recommend it if you're looking for an all-in-one sales and marketing CRM. Shaun, you also mentioned too, like the importance of asking your users what they need and want. As you look back over your career, is that one, and the growth of GoHighLevel, is that what you would say, you know what, that's probably one of the biggest reasons why we've grown the way we have, is we actually care and ask and listen?
100%. I always say that the software is awesome, but without the community, we wouldn't be here. And I really do mean that, because, not only do you, it's great to be responsive to your customer and this and that. And I think that's all wonderful and good. But in our case, our customers also happen to know all of the things that they need because they're out there practicing them every day, right? And so when they come across these real world scenarios, they come back to us and say, hey, here's the problem that we're running into. Here's what we think you should do to fix it. And we can see this on a vote basis. We actually have a voting system. So we can also see which problems really have the biggest impacts. And so we know when we come out with a solution, we're not just guessing, oh, is this going to help someone? How important is this and that? We know exactly how important it is to them because they tell us with their votes. And so when something comes out, and we literally go in vote order. So when something comes out, it has a big impact on people. They're able to immediately operationalize it. And so it's radically accelerated, I think, not only the feature set of the system, but the usefulness of the system as we've gone along.
Yeah, it's incredibly robust as well. Yes. While also remaining simple from an interface standpoint too, which I think is super powerful, because there's so many things I've seen over the years that I'm like, I get in there and I'm like, I give up so soon because I'm like, I am freaking overwhelmed and confused.
Right, too much.
Yeah, totally. I think that's super powerful too. What are you mentioned some problems in like being able to like add and expand. What are some of the coolest problems that y'all been able to solve over the years for your community? Like, what are some of those things that stand out?
Yeah. So the number one thing that is, I would say, is the most important thing for your business is your response time to leads. And so we call this the nurture. So we call it, capture, nurture, close, right? So am I capturing leads? Am I nurturing leads? Am I closing leads? And the place where most people fall apart is in the nurture phase. And the reason that's so critical is, okay, I'm running an ad and that's lovely and it's getting leads in at 2 cents a lead or whatever. And yay, that's exciting. But are any of those leads becoming customers? And the gap in between is the nurture sequence. And if you think about what that is all about, it's hey, listen, did I get to the lead in 5 minutes or less? Because if I didn't, the likelihood that person interested goes away rapidly, because they're losing track of the fact mentally, right? That, hey, I've clicked this ad and I had this offer and I remember this thing. I'm going to get distracted by life. So it's 5 minutes or less, or you might as well just stop running ads. And from there, okay, what am I getting? So fine, I'm engaging them, but what am I getting them to do, right? And really most of the time it's, I need them to book an appointment. And if I don't, because I need to get on the phone with them, I need to talk to them, or I need to show them something, whatever it is, I need to engage with them. And it's really around booking an appointment. And so what I'm excited about is our system automates that full flow. And now with the advent, of course, of AI, we're able to go radically beyond this. In fact, last week we just dropped this, is, before our nurture sequences were, hey, thanks for registering for XYZ offer. In order to get this wonderful offer, I need you to book an appointment, and it's now a good time to book. And if you said, sure, sounds good, or, awesome, let's do it, we could be like, great, here's a link to my calendar, grab a time that works for you. And that was huge. Okay. At the time, that was going from like 0 to 50%, which is a massive increase, or 1% to 50%, huge increase. Yeah. But now with AI, we used to get people who would say, well, yeah, but hold on, how much does it cost? Or do you do this? Or do you do that? And it used to be that we couldn't handle that, but now with AI, we can. So now it's like, oh yeah, and whatever the answer you would normally give. And then it's amazing how you answer one question, two questions, you just go right back to, now is it a good time to book? And people are like, great, let's do it. So we're able to really close the gap and automate that nurture sequence. And we find that if you do that, the person on the other side of that appointment actually can close all day long. So that nurture sequence, the automation of it, super critical to every business.
Yeah, it's so, and most businesses in the insurance industry still ignores that super crucial, amazing piece. Yep. I think I saw a stat one time that like 90-something% of text are read within like the first 3 minutes. Like it was super high. Is that a core part of nurturing? Is the utilization of text?
Huge. Yeah. And we're moving more and more. If you haven't seen this already, you're going to see it eventually, because we're moving more and more of it to a world where we're inbound only, right? Like you need to opt in first before I can talk to you, because this whole idea of cold calling and cold texting and cold emailing continue to be pressed down, because the consumer, and all of which we are all, none of us would say, yes, I want more cold email and more cold text and more cold call. No one says that. They say, I want less. I hate these things, blah, blah, blah. Right. And so the technology providers on the other side are responding. So there have been these huge new regulations on the texting side where now you can't like, you have to register your business entity or yourself as an individual, something that's very identifiable, like an EIN or an SSN. And the whole reason is so that if you get a lot of people saying stop or leave me alone or marking your messages as spam, you no longer will have the ability to text. You can move providers, you can switch numbers, but they got you now. And if you don't register, they're just going to wholesale not deliver your text. And so this is a big, big, big thing, because now you have to think, okay, I got to send text that people want. And so what we find is the real reality of that is you need to run an ad, you need to get inbound interest, and then you need to respond to those inbound inquiries very quickly, very personally, and very well in terms of nurturing them onto that next step. Otherwise, you might as well just not do it.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. I love that you're focused more on that too, because that's something we focus a ton too, is inbound. I also, when I look at GoHighLevel, like for those that maybe aren't aware, like give us some stats around the growth, and then I got a couple questions around that, because it's been crazy impressive.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it's hard to remember like all the different stair steps, but I mean, from a standing start of 0 people, we just hit our 5-year mark, and we're at 3 million users, which puts us in at least the top 5 largest CRM platforms in the world. So it's been an incredible journey, but it's also really been, again, back to the community. So this is all a community-driven thing, and it's really about creating a product that responds not just to the, hey, wouldn't it be great if we had this? We don't deal with any of that. It's, hey, what's really driving sales in your business? What's really driving results in your business? What's really driving conversions in your business? Okay, let's build that. Right. Mm-hmm. So I think that's really how we've gotten here.
Yeah, I do too. Also, I saw a stat the other day too about like 96% of businesses never scale to 6 figures. I'm sorry, 7 figures. 7 figures. A lot probably scale to 6, but most never get to 7 figures. Yeah. For someone that's wanting to scale an operation outside of themselves, because we have so many people in the insurance industry that are making hundreds of thousands of dollars, but they're control freaks and they do it all and they never get to 7 figures. What advice would you give to them as someone who has scaled well beyond 7 figures?
I mean, it's a lot of automation. I mean, I think automation, particularly when you obviously need to hire people. You need to hire great people. You need to, and you need to SOP many of your the things that you do today. And it's hard for a lot of people. I'm right there with you. I mean, you sort of, it almost becomes instinctual the way you're able to do certain things in your business. So you don't even start to think about, oh, well, there's a method to this, and I think about it in this way and that. It's just something you almost just subliminally do. So I think there's that aspect of it. But I think automation is still where I would start for most people, because a couple of things. The nice thing is they don't have to give up control, really. They can really craft a lot of it. And right away, you can get an early hit, because what you're really doing is you're saying, listen, all the stuff that can be automated should be automated. And the nice thing is, even if once you hire, I would sort of think about it like that. Let's say I have a team of 10 salespeople today and they're manually doing all of these things well. That's cool. But hey, if I automate 30%, 50% of their workload, now I've basically taken those 10 people and I've doubled. They're really able to do the 20 people's worth of work, because now they're being literally shifted to the place where they can really make a difference, versus where the automation is making a difference. So for me, I would start with automation, because you want that in the long term anyways. And it doesn't matter if you have 2 people or 200 people, having great automation will allow you to always maximize the people that you do have.
Yeah. Here's one question I get a lot is like, hey, when we talk about CRMs, like they think of different things. Some just think of a spot to like I used to keep track of my insurance clients like 14 years ago on an Excel spreadsheet, or eventually Dropbox. I would just upload PDFs to those things, right? When you look at this CRM, it's a lot more than just a place to see who your clients are. Expand on what all GoHighLevel is and can do.
Yeah, oh, well,
even though there's a lot. I was
going to say it would take a couple hours, but I mean, I think the reality is it's capture, nurture, close. It's everything you need to capture leads, everything you need to nurture leads, and everything you need to close leads. And really what we mean by that is it's everything in your business is a funnel. I don't care if you're starting off the relationship and getting new customers. I don't care if you're continuing the relationship and upselling your customers. It allows you to track and automate as much of that process as possible. And where it's not possible to automate, it gives you a lot of visibility. So think about something like a sales pipeline, right? We can automate a lot of that. And what we want to see is, hey, when someone comes in and they book an appointment, I want to jump them to the next stage. Great, we can automate all of that. But when we've already got them on an appointment and we've given them let's say a quote or something, we need to just see, hey, who's stuck in here, right? And we can do some automation there just to remind our people, like, hey, if they're stuck in the quote stage for more than 3 days, we want to do something. So we can automate that, but the do something might just be, hey, we need to ping someone to take an action, right? And as the manager, we just want to know, hey, how many people have we given quotes to, or they haven't closed, or they haven't taken the next step, or whatever. So we can just have visibility in our business. And then we can also just see things like, we can see percentages of people moving through the funnel, moving through the pipeline, where are they getting stuck? Because the reality is, at some point, we all need to optimize our funnels, and we always want to optimize from the top down, because you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck doing that. Because generally, and this is where I think people say, well, if you say, what do you need more leads? Everyone's like, oh yeah, I need more leads. But in reality, if you were to double your leads today, do you have the best process in place to actually convert them to sales? Because buying leads is a waste of money if you don't have a system in place to actually convert those sales to customers.
Yes, 1000%. If you think about some of the top like case studies of companies that are successfully using GoHighLevel, what are some of the ways that they're really starting to maximize this software and it's generating a ton of return for them versus companies that maybe haven't adopted some of the things that they're doing?
I think again, it's leaning into, okay, how do I make it easy for customers to come into my business? So, sure, there are going to be things like lead ads on Facebook or something, or Google ads and this and that. But like on my website, do I have like the chat widget so that when someone comes to my website and they're kind of confused as to like what they need, is there like an easy thing in the bottom right-hand corner where it's like, click here to get help? Because if so, we can capture a lead there, because every website is confusing. I mean, I hate to break it to all of you. Your websites, I'm sure they're beautiful and they're amazing and you know everything about them, but the person who's coming there most of the time is either confused, or if they're not confused, they still want to know how to take the next step. And so do we have all of that unlocked, right? And do we have that flowing properly through the system? So do they enter the sales pipeline? Do we know where we're getting our leads from, right? Do we know what the ROI is? And this is one of the coolest things. Like, we have ROI attribution back to the lead source. So if you're running Google ads, Facebook ads, TikTok ads, LinkedIn ads, web chat widget, all this stuff, cool. How much of a sale am I getting out of that? in real dollar terms. And the way we drive that is we drive it off the opportunity board, is what we call it, sort of the sales pipeline tracking board, based on the amount of revenue you're giving to that sale. And so we'll know, oh, all the way back to that Facebook ad, that's how much money I made in this period of time. That's huge for businesses, because what you really need to know is not how many leads you're getting. Leads are great and all, but how do you not know? What if there's a lead source where you're getting far fewer leads, but 10 times the sale value, right? So you need to know these things as a business owner. So having a system that lets you do that kind of seamlessly, super important.
That's huge, man. I didn't even realize that. I hate to say it, but I'm like freaking blown away. I love that. That's so powerful, because we spend a ton of money in ads, but a lot of times I can't track back to what's exactly which specific source. That's huge. Oh my
And
God.
what's funny? Ironically enough, I learned this in the answering service business, because we ran a ton of Google ads, and it was super simple. The word answering service is going to drive a lot of volume, but it's not going to necessarily drive the same dollar amounts versus, you go do something very specific like legal answering service or doctor answering service, a lot fewer leads. But I'm telling you, certain industries can pay a lot more money or have a lot more kind of on the line when it comes to making sure someone's picking up the phone. And so you actually want to optimize around a lot of these sort of tangential or secondary keywords, because you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck there than the bigger term, which also, by the way, ironically, is always the more expensive term, because it's the easier one for people to think through. But this is exactly how it plays out in every other business. There are niches, types of ads, whatever, that are going to drive a lot more real dollar return. And you got to know that. Just knowing how many, quote unquote, I love it, they always call them conversions, but conversions are just leads. They're not sales. You got to know how much money you're making from an ad, not how many people are registering on that ad.
Yeah, I love it. Here's one thing I did have, I would say probably one last question on. This has been super valuable. I appreciate your time. This has been awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Super insightful, intelligent dude, man. Like, I could hang out with you for days. If you ever have a mastermind and I can like just come pick your brain for a couple days, like let me know. I'm in. Okay. Which you just got done with the conference,
That's
right? Which is exactly that,
right? That was awesome.
Which I'll be there for sure next year. I'm excited about that. If someone's like, okay, I get it, this is impressive, I love it, I want to try it, I want to do a demo.
Yeah,
okay? I want to do a free trial. They say they click the link, GoHighLevel.com/CA. They do an extended 30-day free trial. Yeah, what can they expect to happen after that? Like, what are the next steps?
Well, yeah, so this is, I think, kind of where we try to do things differently than other people. So we have live Zoom-based setup and support, which is huge because most people don't have this. So most of the time you sign up for software, it's like, well, good luck. Here's the help docs, or that kind of thing. But for us, we just realized that every business is different, and people really want help getting going. And so we have a Zoom-based team that will literally get on with you, set it up, get everything going, and then even after that, there's a whole other Zoom-based team that will continue that with you out into the future as you continue to adopt new things. Because the way I think about it is, how do we get you immediate value so that you can say, okay, whether or not I do anything else, I've got enough value here that it's worth paying for this product, because that's step number one. And then as we move along, as the world changes, as I hear about new things, how is the system working with me to continue to grow? And how can I get like real people to help me make that happen?
Yeah. I love it. Well, Shaun, I appreciate your time so much. Appreciate you doing the podcast. You're amazing.
Thanks for having me on. It's been great.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, buddy. Okay. Thank you guys for hanging out. Again, Shaun Clark, co-founder and CEO of GoHighLevel. Crazy impressive organization. Go check them out. Definitely click the link below in description, GoHighLevel.com/CA for an extended 30-day free trial. Appreciate you listening to the podcast, and we'll see you on the next episode. Adios.
Hey, if you enjoyed this, I got another one you're going to love. It's right there. Click on it. See you in there.
I'm so excited for today's CA Power Player podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins. We got a special guest. He is back on the channel talking about how to sell life insurance from home. Here's what I love about this person. Yeah, I'm telling you, this will be one of the best.